Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday morning, July the 12th. A few storylines here going forward over the next 5 or 10 days or so with regard to the weather across the continental U.S. It looks like a very strong upper level ridge will intensify over the southwestern states over the next several days. That will result in some very hot conditions focused on areas like Southern California, Arizona, all the way to New Mexico and Texas as well. At the same time, strong upper level trough continues to sit over the south central part of Canada. That will impact the northern plains, the upper part of the Midwest, with below normal temperatures over the next several days. And really, the mid-Atlantic northeastern states will stay relatively close to normal over the next several days. The unsettled weather pattern that was experienced last week into the weekend across the Mid-Atlantic region, the northeastern states, looks like it'll return later this week going through the upcoming weekend, and certainly that will include once again the chance for some heavy downpours in the Mid-Atlantic region in the northeastern states from anytime from later tomorrow all the way through the upcoming weekend. And we'll focus in on all these storylines over the next few minutes. First of all, let's begin with the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps from last night's run of the ensemble version of the GFS. These are averaged over 5-day periods, rolling 5-day periods. This is the current 5-day period. And here you go with that strong upper level ridge centered right over the southwestern states, and that will result in some hot conditions. You'll hear high temperatures, extreme high temperatures, hot temperatures in places like Death Valley, California, for example, right underneath this ridge over the next few days. And this is where the hot weather is, but look at up here over south central Canada. We still have a reflection of an upper level low, and that will keep temperatures below normal all throughout this part of the U.S. and Canada. And again, even the mid-Atlantic northeastern states will have relatively close to normal temperatures over the next several days. Again, the real hot weather confined to the southwestern states with that intense upper level ridge. Now let's move forward into the middle and latter part of July. Again, this is the current 5-day period, the height anomaly pattern here. Let's keep moving forward here, and we have a continuation of that upper level ridge near the Four Corners region, and the upper level trough tends to dampen out as we get into the middle of the month. This is actually July 18th to July 23rd. Still visible here by the time we get to the second half of July, and certainly so is the upper level ridge over the southwestern states. Now, a subtle change here I wanted to point out when we get into the latter part of the month. This is going out now to days 9 to 13, July 20th to July 25th. This upper level ridge starts to just slightly pull to the north later in this time period. We'll see in the precipitation forecast map that tends to open the door for some monsoonal moisture to flow into places like Arizona by the middle and certainly the second half of July. See here, it kind of moves a little bit, just a subtle push up to the north over those last few frames. We're going all the way out now to July 23rd, July 28th, and this is one of the things we'll keep an eye on, is monsoonal moisture can flow into the southwestern U.S., even those areas that are typically dry right around now. But Arizona, Southern California, if this high indeed ends up pulling a little bit farther to the north and west with time, and that is certainly on the table for later this month. Now here we are all the way out to July 23rd and July 28th. Still some resemblance here of an upper level trough sitting over southeastern Canada and the northeastern part of the nation, likely preventing any kind of extended heat wave at least through the middle of the month, at least through the third week of July in this part of the nation, something we'll monitor over the next several days. Well, here's the precipitation forecast map from last night's 6Z run of the GFS for the next 10 days. And this is what I was talking about, a little bit of monsoonal moisture starting to work its way to the north and west into Arizona and New Mexico later on in this period. Again, this is a 10-day forecast map. So this is one storyline we'll watch over the next several days. continuation of an unsettled weather pattern here for the eastern half of the nation, and that certainly can include some heavy rainfall for places that do not need the heavy rainfall, namely Mid-Atlantic region, northeastern part of the nation. Of course, we had some torrential downpours anywhere from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City and surrounding areas, all the way up into New England, Vermont, for example, particularly hard by heavy downpours over the last few days. This unsettled weather pattern, unfortunately, looks like it may contain some more chances for heavy downpours later tomorrow, all the way through the upcoming weekend, right in the Mid-Atlantic region, northeastern states. Well, I wanted to walk through the vorticity forecast maps from the operational run of the GFS from last night, just to show all these waves of energy cutting across the northern states into the Mid-Atlantic region, northeastern U.S., keeping it unsettled, really beginning again on Thursday, and certainly that unsettled period will last right through the upcoming weekend. Meanwhile, out across the southwestern states, upper level ridging keeps it rather quiet, at least for the next few days. But let's just move forward here. Here's one wave, for example. This is the forecast map for later today, going into the day on Thursday. Here's a kind of a vorticity area as we begin the day on Thursday. And really the humidity returns to more uncomfortable levels tomorrow. D.C., Philadelphia, New York City has high pressure at the surface pushes to the east, opening the door for moisture to flow to the north and east from the Gulf of Mexico back into the Mid-Atlantic region and northeastern states on Thursday. And here's a wave of energy, so it could set off some shower thunderstorm activity later tomorrow into tomorrow night. We'll move forward here. We see kind of another wave of energy later on tomorrow evening, and we just see these waves of energy. Here we go now into Friday night, kind of a wave right here cutting across the Midwest and into the northeastern states, and you can see this upper level low just sitting and rotating over the south central part of Canada, kind of sending spokes of energy around, rotating around the base of that trough here, and that again will keep unsettled weather pattern right through the upcoming weekend. Here's an impressive wave right here of the Tennessee Valley by later in the day on Saturday. Meanwhile, upper level ridging keeps the vorticity maximum away from the southwestern states over the upcoming weekend. Go out a little bit farther in time, and here we go. We still have the continuation of that upper level trough sitting right here, kind of inverted upper level trough axis oriented from more northwest to southeast. Keeps a lot of upward motion in this part of Canada and the U.S., and again sending rotating spokes of energy around the base of the trough into the Mid-Atlantic region, into the northeast U.S. Meanwhile, hot and at this point still relatively dry over California and Arizona. Well, let's wrap up with the surface forecast maps from the 0Z run of the GFS. And most likely a rain-free day. D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, Boston, high pressure still in control. Moderate humidity levels today. Dew points are not all that uncomfortably high right now. It does get very, very warm this afternoon, probably 90 to 95 degrees in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, a few degrees above normal perhaps for this time of the year. Now, let's move forward here. And here we go into the day on Thursday. And that's kind of the return of the moisture into the Mid-Atlantic region, and really the return of the unsettled weather pattern. This is later in the day on Thursday. Notice some yellows here showing up on the weather maps here. That indicates heavier rainfall into the Ohio Valley and certainly potentially into the Mid-Atlantic region later on tomorrow night. That's associated with one of those waves of energy. We move forward into the day on Friday, and again, some yellows and oranges showing up here on the GFS model run here. This is for Friday evening with one of those waves of energy. In other words, the potential of some heavy downpours on Friday evening. We keep on going in this unsettled weather pattern here. Saturday evening, the same sort of pattern here with many hours of daytime heating by the time we get to late in the day on Saturday night. Again, some heavy downpours being depicted here by the 0Z run of the GFS in the Mid-Atlantic region all the way down to the southeastern states, and you can include that thread as well up across the northeastern states on late Saturday night. Then we go into the day on Sunday, and here we go. Continuation of enhancement of the rainfall during the afternoon and evening hours on Sunday. So an unsettled weather pattern about to return to the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S., really from later tomorrow right through the upcoming weekend, and certainly can include some heavy downpours in the same region that was hit hard over the past week or so. So keep that in mind. Meanwhile, out in the southwestern states, a very, very hot period developing now with very hot conditions, places like Southern California, Arizona, and then watch later on in this month for monsoonal moisture to start to show up for the first time. Places like Arizona and New Mexico, bringing the chance for more rainfall back to the southwestern states, again with that upper level ridge. If it does indeed slide a little bit farther to the north later this month, that'll open the door for monsoonal moisture to make its way into Arizona and New Mexico, maybe even Southern California later on this month. So that's it for now for ArcfieldWeather.com. This has been meteorologist Paul Doria.